What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dynasty Coaches, our sixth podcast. I am your host, Coach Dylan. Along with me, I have Coach Charlie and Coach Nick. How you guys doing today?
Pleasure to be here.
Good, yeah.
Excited to be here, Coach Nick. Absolutely ready for this week.
Yeah.
Obviously watching the game as it goes on, but
Yeah, it's good. It's a good game right now. We'll
Real
see
defense.
who comes out on top here. So, we got a good show for you guys today. We're going to be looking at first the news and notes from around the league. Then we're going to start a segment called Dissect That Team. We're going to be looking at one team each week to kind of dissect and get our opinions on who would be best free agents, best moves, best draft picks, stuff like that, to help them turn their seasons around or keep their franchise going the right direction. And then we are going to look at the 2021 rookie quarterback draft class and kind of grade how they did on their rookie season. So looking at the news and notes, there's not a whole lot because it's playoffs and no coaches have gotten hired yet, I don't believe. We do have a couple offensive coordinators that got hired, I believe, but no head coaches yet. You guys have any favorites so far as who's been hired? No.
I'm waiting for the head coach positions. That's what I'm keeping an eye on. As much as Meany doesn't think so, I think Dan Quinn might be coming to Denver.
Not if we're going to be getting Rodgers there, sir. So, all right, then we'll just go ahead and skip the news and notes today since there's not a whole lot going on. So we'll jump right into that, dissect that team. This week we're going to be doing the Cleveland Browns. Right now, the biggest needs on the Cleveland Browns are wide receiver, edge, safety, QB, and a linebacker. I just want to get you guys' opinions on possible best free agents to go there, possible draftees, anything you guys might think that they would do to turn their team around. I know it's kind of been going in the right direction the last couple of years, but they missed the playoffs again for how many consecutive years now?
They were there last year.
They were in last year. I forgot about that. So we'll start with free agents. Who do you guys think is a great free agent for the Rams to go after this offseason?
I got you. So first of all, and it's kind of weird for free agency, but I think they have some free agents of their own they need to focus on. You brought up edge, you brought up wide receiver. They have two individuals, both in those positions, that are due to be free agents that they need to work on locking up, which is Jarvis, Landry at wide receiver and Jadeveon Clowney at the edge. Clowney didn't do a whole lot, but came on strong towards the end of the season, and Landry's been the best wide receiver named wide receiver since they started there. So barring not being able to lock up either of those two, I think some good targets for wide receiver, and I'll leave edge and the rest of the folks to y'all. But wide receiver, I think, would be a good target. Chris Godwin or Allen Robinson. Obviously, the Browns are not going to attract your pinnacle wide receiver this year around, which is Devontae Adams, depending on where he goes and what he wants to do. The Browns aren't going to attract, nor do they have the salary cap or the draft capital, or not draft capital, but the salary cap to attract a player like that. So Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin, I think would be solid pickups for him. And then obviously you got two great wide receivers coming out of the Ohio State that I think they could target in the draft.
So I looked at Spot Track before hopping on here because they tell you kind of what the cap space situation is for each team. And as of now, I could be wrong, but the Browns have $28 million in cap space. So they have a little money to work with. Like Nick said, they're not going to be going after Devontae Adams. He's the alpha of the class. But honestly, I think someone like Mike Williams wouldn't be the worst fit in Cleveland. He's kind of like the big go up and get it deep ball kind of guy, which I think could be a fit because Landry's kind of like a in between the seams kind of guy, gets like your 10, 15 yards. As for the defensive side of the ball, someone on the edge, Jason Pierre-Paul is going to be a free agent. He's had a really good run over these past few years for the Buccaneers, and if they don't bring him back, he wants to seek one last, half decent payday before he calls it. Cleveland could be a good home. Also, Akeem Hicks is also on the market as well. He's always been a stalwart in Chicago, and he's good at getting interior pressure, but he can also line up at defensive end and rush the quarterback. So those are a couple of names I would keep an eye on.
I second that Allen Robinson move. Just looking at the last couple of years, GM Andrew Berry came in 2020, and he has actually gone after a couple veteran wide receivers in free agency. So you got Landry and you got Beckham. I think that they like the veteran wide receivers, and I think Allen Robinson would actually be a pretty good fit. It'd kind of be the way his career's been going. I mean, Baker Mayfield is decent, but he's not best quarterback out there, and Allen Robinson really hasn't had a great quarterback ever thrown to him. So I think that that would be a good move for him. And then I actually went with somebody on defense as my second my second free agent pickup. The Browns were actually pretty decent against the pass last year, but they were mediocre against the run. So I went with veteran run stopper Calais Campbell to help them out. I think that he'd be a good fit. He was one of the better run stoppers in the league. So, but I did forget to mention too. While we're doing these picks all season long, we'll be playing a game, and at the end we'll see who predicted the right players to each team via free agency and the draft, and maybe give the winner something at the end here. So do you guys have any other free agents you'd like to add that would be a good fit?
Yeah, I was looking linebacker position because that's another need for that team. You've got Oluwakan from Atlanta, who is a free agent. You might be able to pick him up on a pretty decent contract, slide under your cap space. And then another thing they're going to have to look at doing here is you got Quan Alexander as a free agent. Might be an interesting pickup for him, kind of a patch and fill kind of guy to be able to get him through or bring up a draftee behind him if they chose to. But yeah, $28 million in cap space, Charlie. It was absolutely correct. That's the numbers I got too. And they owe Landry 16.5. They owe Hooper 13.2, and they owe Keenum 7.8. So that cap space starts to, so
yikes. One more name I wanted to bring up because the Browns might need some help on the defensive interior because I believe Malik Jackson is going to be heading in the free agency. Mm-hmm. And if they don't bring him back, someone I could see helping out is maybe Jaron Reed, who has been with Seattle, or Austin Johnson, who I know I can speak from experience, had a solid year as a run stopper for the Giants. Those guys are going to be on the market, and they can be had at a relatively inexpensive price. So just another couple of names to watch there. And if they choose to address it in the draft, if he falls to pick 13, which I believe the Browns do have, DeMarvin Leal is an absolute behemoth of a defensive tackle out of, I think, A&M. And he has been ridiculous. I was watching some of his highlights the other day, and he's a freak of nature.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to go ahead and throw out one more position. With the Browns running a lot of two tight end sets, and David Njoku is now a free agent. The free agent class for tight ends are very good. You got Gesicki, Schultz, Gronkowski, Njoku, Ertz, Everett, Ingram. They could very well go after one of those. Their offense revolves around the tight ends. So at least the passing game does. So I can see them going after I think Mike Gesicki would be actually pretty good in that offense. Somebody that can stretch the field down the middle. So
yeah. I would agree. Out of the names you put up there, Gesicki would definitely be a gem for them to be able to pluck from that free agency.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, All right, let's go ahead and move on to the draft picks here. I just want to throw out a little blurb here. In the 2 years that Andrew Berry has been the GM, he has drafted 7 offense and 7 defensive players.
Pretty even.
After 1 running back, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 2 offensive tackles, and 1 center, and then 2 defensive tackles, 2 linebackers, 1 cornerback, and 2 safeties. So, who do you guys think they should target in the upcoming draft? I know, Nick, you said 2 wide receivers that could be very big for him.
Yeah, you got two absolute playmakers out of Ohio State. You also have some other wide receivers. I'm just trying to find my notes on that. I don't think they replaced Baker, so I think they're going to go wide receiver if they go offense. And then where are we?
Oh my God!
Yeah, they tied that game up, by the way.
Yeah, this has been such a good game.
You see that deep ball to Cup?
No, I must have missed it. Oh,
That
they
was up to 40 yards downfield. They're in the red zone.
Yeah, and there's only 4 seconds left. They're going to kick a field goal, win this game. Good deal. All right.
My Lord. Yeah, if you guys got something else, I'll circle back to my wide receivers.
I will go. I'll go first here. Safety out of Alabama, Jordan Battle. I think that would be a good pickup. He's gonna be a first round talent. So I think that's where the way they go in the first round. They like their safeties in the draft. They've gone through 2 already in the first 2 years of Barry's contract. So I think that's where they go. And then in the second round, I think they go with edge with Arnold Ebiketie out of Penn State. I think that he was one of the better pass rushers in the draft. So this draft is actually full of good pass rushers off the edge. So, but that'd be my pick for where they go in the second round.
If they go wide receiver, I think a name to watch would be Traylon Burks.
Yeah.
I think he's probably the best wide receiver available. And if they don't do that, I think linebacker, Nakobe Dean out of Georgia, potentially, or Devin Lloyd of Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And for the second round, an edge rusher I keep an eye on is Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State. He had a really good year this year, and he's going to probably be an early to mid-second round pick.
Gotcha. Yeah, those are both real good picks right there. Traylon Burks is getting a lot of talk about being possibly the best wide receiver in the draft class. I think he's probably at least top 3. So I think that he'd be big. He's a big guy, real big specimen. So he could definitely help that offense. We have breaking news too. Tom Brady is out of the playoffs.
Yep.
That's it.
Rams win.
Yeah. So, Nick, did you find your notes?
Yeah, I did. So I don't know if this is popular opinion or not, and a lot of people might disagree because we were just talking about some folks we thought were the best wide receivers in this upcoming draft. But I got 2 names I'm gonna throw out, and they should both be available when the Browns pick, and that is Garrett Wilson and Jameson Williams. One out of Ohio State, one out of Alabama. I think both are going to have great things to bring to that table. I think you can pair him well with Landry if you bring him back. I think you can build off of them if you're not able to bring Landry back and you bring in a vet like Allen Robinson or like we were talking Chris Godwin. I think that those guys would both work. I actually am leaning more towards Alabama's product, Williams. I think he absolutely has a monstrous burst of speed and can really give that offense a dynamic side that I think they're missing right now.
Yeah, for sure. With him getting hurt too, it's just going to make him fall down the board. So he could very well be available to them. Still think he's probably a first-round talent, though. So they'd have to, I think, get him in the first. But I mean, he was. A lot of people have him as the number one before his injury. So, anybody else? Any other draft picks you guys want to throw out there really quick before we move on? No. Cool. So, there's your Cleveland Browns wrap up there. I think that they're headed in the right direction. They just need to keep going. Baker getting hurt definitely didn't help them. So as long as they keep going and adding pieces for him to build their offense, I think they're good because their defense is pretty solid.
Yeah, and their defense has been good for a while, and that's how you kind of build that championship status. You anchor on one side of the ball. If it's not your offense, then you got to anchor on your defense and build from there.
Yep. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the 2021 rookie quarterback class. There was quite a bit of shockers in this draft right now, or in this draft class. We'll start with the number one overall pick, Trevor Lawrence, the Jaguars. Finished with 59.6% completion percentage, 3,641 passing yards, and 12 TDs while throwing 17 interceptions. Added another 334 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. He probably had the worst coach in the history of the NFL.
Shortest one for sure, I think.
Yeah.
So, he finished 24th in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues and 23rd in 4-point per passing touchdown leagues. Offensive line ranked 24th, and he lost his best receiver, DJ Chark, in week 4. What do you guys think the outlook is for Trevor Lawrence going into 2022 and his rookie season overall?
Well, it can only get better if we're being completely honest. The first year was a fiasco because he had a head coach who was in way over his head in Urban Meyer, and the only real healthy weapon on the offense was James Robinson. And there's only so much you can do when the best player in your offense is a running back. Mm-hmm. And the offensive line wasn't exactly help either. I'm pretty sure they need, if not the entire offensive line, at least 3 to 4 of those spots need to be filled because whenever I had a Jaguars game on, if I was using Sunday Ticket, Trevor Lawrence would drop back in the pocket, and immediately there'd be 1 or 2 guys already in the backfield ready to sack him, and he'd be forced into making some decisions he might not normally make if he had a little more time. Mm-hmm. So I think that the Jaguars are going to focus on the offensive line, maybe getting another wide receiver, or some type of weapon for him, maybe a tight end. I know they need a tight end, and we should see some more production out of Trevor Lawrence next year.
Yeah, I agree. I think for a rookie, it's always hard, especially at the quarterback position. But when you step into the situation that they stepped into in Jacksonville, your head coach is a mess, your team's kind of falling apart around you, and your whole rookie season's kind of been a disaster from start to finish. That's never fun. There's a lot of media, a lot of circusry going around that facility and around that team. It's hard to focus as a young rookie, young being the key word there, young rookie trying to man a team. And you throw in everything else, like Charlie just said. The guy was getting swarmed every time he'd hold on to the ball more than 2 seconds. I mean, the ceiling is only, this guy's only going to get brighter from here. His ceiling is only going to go up from here. And I totally agree. I think they focus on the O-line and get him another playmaker to try to throw the ball to. Tight end would be great, like Charlie said, would be amazing, especially with the market that they have for him this year around. I think they go out and get themselves a playmaking tight end to anchor that offense and give their young QB somebody to rely on.
I agree. They, however, are going to need another wide receiver if they do not resign DJ Chark. He is a
That's right.
So I think that priority 1 will be getting them that alpha receiver if they don't resign Chark. Because right now, Laviska Shenault and Marvin Jones aren't your typical number 1 wide receivers there. So
yeah, let's not forget the Jaguars had the first overall pick too. So
yep.
It's interesting to see what direction they go in.
Yeah. Yep. It could very well be one of those top flight receivers there.
They could trade out of one, honestly, too, if they really want to accumulate some more picks. Because if they don't take an offensive lineman or one of the top tier edge rushers, they could drop back and take a wide receiver.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Trying to think of the name of that kid. I think he's out of, I want to say Pitt, but they have that offensive line. I think he's a center who's arguably the best offensive lineman you've seen.
Tyler Linderbahn, the guy out of Iowa.
Yeah, that kid. If you're going to take an offensive lineman, there's your guy right there. And I mean, might as well take him number one. But if you can't and you think you can slide back a few slots and get some draft capital, by all means, it's a smart move too.
Linderbaum is probably going to go in like the 5 to 10 range. If they're going to pick an O-lineman at 1, if I had to put money on it, I would say it's Evan Neal out of Bama.
Okay.
All right, let's go and move on.
Has offensive lineman ever been picked number 1?
Yes. Not often, but I know it's been done at least once or twice before.
Didn't
Eric
Tennessee
Fisher,
do
right?
it? What's that?
I think Eric Fisher was the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, and then Tennessee did it one year too. I can't remember the name of the guy. Maybe I think he was a tackle. Conklin?
Jack Conklin?
Yeah, I think so.
Really? He was.
But I thought he was number 1 overall. Maybe it was just the first. Maybe it was just first, high, second, third. I thought Tennessee had one a while back.
Maybe.
While you're looking that up, let's go and move on to the second quarterback here. Zach Wilson with the Jets. His stats, 55.6% completion percentage, 2,334 passing yards, 9 passing TDs to 11 interceptions, 185 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns in just 13 games.
Orlando Pace was an offensive lineman drafted 1 overall, 97 by the Rams.
Okay. Finished 30th in 6-point and 4-point per passing touchdowns. He had the 11th ranked offensive line. My big thing here is he has no weapons other than Elijah Moore. Jets need to go out and get him some weapons big time this draft or free agency. The offensive line is set. So whether you want to build through free agency, defense through free agency, or the draft, you need to get him some weapons through the rest of the draft or the free agency. So that's my big takeaway from him. Wasn't the best decision maker, but I think give him some weapons and he's gonna start making a lot better decisions.
The fact that they even had the 11th best O-line was impressive because Mekhi Becton was not playing for most of the season. He was a mauler last year. You put him back on that line, they'll be a top 10 unit, I think, without question.
Yep.
And, yeah, I definitely agree with you, Dylan. They need playmakers. Elijah Moore showed us what he had last year. He's impressive. But outside of that, they really don't have anybody. I don't have any trust in Corey Davis. I think he might even be a free agent, too. I'm not 100% sure about that. But he's not really anything special.
I know Crowder is free agent.
Crowder, okay, again, whatever, Jameson Crowder.
Yeah.
They need, I think, an alpha because I think Elijah Moore's a good secondary wideout. But he needs someone to help take the attention off of him. And if they want to use one of their first-round picks on a wideout, maybe a Garrett Wilson type, I certainly wouldn't be opposed to seeing that happen.
No.
Because they do have 2 first-round picks.
Yeah. They definitely need to let Michael Carter take over in the backfield. He was far away better running the ball than Ty Johnson or Tevin Coleman or P. Ryan. So I think that if they let him go, it's going to take a lot of pressure off of him and give him that run game that will help kind of contradict. That'll help the passing game a lot. So.
Yeah, I agree. He showed a lot of flashes and a lot of talent there when he was given the opportunity and when he came to play. So I think fix up the few things you guys talked about, and they'll be a solid team, which is weird to say for the Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's been so long since the Jets have been good. So, moving on to Justin Fields. He played 12 games, started 10 of them. 58.9 completion percentage for 1,870 passing yards, 7 passing touchdowns to 10 interceptions. 420 rushing yards to 2 rushing touchdowns. Finished as the 32nd ranked quarterback in 6-point and 31st ranked quarterback in 4-point, and then had the 22nd ranked offensive line in the league. It'll be interesting to see. He's going to have to learn an entire new offense now. So see if it's built more around him running the ball or throwing the ball. But what do you guys think?
Well, I think whatever system it is going to be a plus because Matt Nagy was just holding that offense back. I said it before on the last podcast. He was a god awful coach who doesn't know how to run an offense in any way, shape, or form. So no matter who it is, if you focus on Fields as like a two-way threat or more like a Lamar Jackson type, or if you use him more as a passer, I think he's gonna show a lot of upside. At the end of the year, he had a great game against the Vikings where he threw for almost 300 yards, didn't have a turnover, and threw, I think, a couple touchdowns. And in the games he played, you saw the rushing outside, too. I know he had a 100-plus yard rushing game in one of his few starts. So he's flashed the talent. He's got the skill. It's just a matter of finding the right system to unlock him. And if they can get him some protection, too, like you said, not the best offensive line in the world, maybe get him a weapon because Allen Robinson's leaving in free agency, get another wide receiver. I think he'll have a much better year, too.
Do you think Mooney and Kmet are good enough weapons to be the 2-3?
Mooney, yes, but I'm not sold on Kmet.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I have a weak spot for Kmet. I do. But I also tend to give people a bit more faith than they might deserve. So I'm willing to agree to disagree on that one until we see what comes out of this next season. But whatever happens, whatever goes, flat out, I am excited to see Justin Fields play. I think he finally made the Bears interesting to watch again.
Yep.
You know, it was like Charlie said, Nagy is god awful. That was horrible to have to try to watch, but he still tuned in because he just never knew what Justin Fields was going to be able to do. And I think that adds an element to his playability. I think he's going to have a really good season this next season, no matter what system he has to learn.
Yeah. We forget, too, that he's going to be having Tariq Cohen come back, who is a big possible passing game threat there, too, out of the backfield. So we'll see. Moving right along here, Mac Jones, New England Patriots, probably the best rookie quarterback in this class here. 67.6% completion percentage, 3,801 passing yards, 22 passing touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 129 rushing yards for 0 rushing touchdowns. Finished 17th in 6-point and 18th in 4-point with the 9th ranked offensive line. What's you guys' feelings on Mac Jones?
Is this the Belichick effect? I mean, another white QB steps into the New England offense and he just sort of excels right off the bat. Although, from what I saw from Mac Jones, he was good. If you gave him enough time in the pocket, he was making good decisions, making smart throws. I don't think he was the most aggressive quarterback. I did see him taking quite a few checkdowns, a lot of short passes, playing it safe. And when he was kind of forced to swing it downfield, that's where we saw some issues, especially in the playoffs against the Bills, when they fell behind early and had to try to sling the ball downfield to catch up, and that didn't work out too well. But I think he's a good fit for the system. The Patriots need wide receivers. I feel like we've been saying that for a while. Jacoby Myers was their best wideout this year, and he's not the greatest wide receiver either. So I think they have to devote some draft picks or even spending free agency. I think Chris Godwin would be a great fit in New England, or even Calvin Ridley if he gets traded. Just getting an alpha wideout and even two wideouts, honestly, they should get 2 at least, to help that New England passing game, because Hunter Henry is a great red zone threat, and hopefully Jonathan Smith will get a little more involved, but they need wide receivers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, their running game is pretty solid with Stevenson and Harris. So if they can get somebody that can stretch the field for Mac Jones, I think that they could probably be, Super Bowl contenders again. You're always going to say that with a Belichick run team.
Facts.
But he's looking good from his rookie year.
I feel like it's always hard year to year to figure out who's going to be the running back in New England. I feel like they recycle running backs more than any other team in the NFL. But
Yep.
I think we were all kind of excited for a while where New England struggled at the QB position for the first time in what feels like their entire existence. But no, I think Mac Jones is the solution for them. I totally agree with Charlie that they need to figure out how he's going to work on that deep ball game, how he's going to figure his deep passing into it. His accuracy needs to be addressed. His concerns and hesitation with throwing that deep ball needs to be addressed. But Belichick's going to do what Belichick does, tell him to do his job and protect the ball to the best of his ability and let his defense and everything else run around him and handle what they need to handle. So as long as Mac Jones is good with being Mac Jones and not trying to be the next Tom Brady, I think he'll be just fine.
Yeah. He fit in perfect with the Belichick offense, I think. He's the other three quarterbacks that we've talked about so far have more interceptions than they do touchdowns. So and Mac Jones, Belichick, don't turn the ball over because we all know what happens when we start turning the ball over in New England. We start sitting on the bench. So I think that he's perfect for New England. Moving along here, Davis Mills. Probably the surprise of the draft. Surprise of the 2021 season. 66.8% completion percentage, 2,664 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, only 44 rushing yards, and 0 rushing touchdowns. Played in 13 games, but only started 11. 27th in 6-point, 29th in 4-point, and has the 29th ranked offensive line. So my big thing, I mean, he's going to have to learn a new offense if they even decide to keep him. I think they should. I think he showed enough to at least garner one more year from them and see what he can do. But they need to give him some weapons. Brandon Cooks is not enough for him. So,
yeah, definitely not.
I do absolutely agree that he showed enough to give him another chance next year because, like you said, he literally just had Brandon Cooks, one of the worst offensive lines in football, and he still basically single-handedly carried that team, and they fought hard in a lot of those games at the end of the season. They upset the Chargers. They played the Titans incredibly well in that last game of the season, where he threw for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. His passer rating was 128.5, completed almost 70% of his passes. That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's impressive when you only have Brandon Cooks and you don't have anyone else to help you at all. That's great.
Yeah. One name to look out for is Nico Collins there. He was starting to come on at the end of the season. And,
I do like him as a sneaky dynasty sleeper.
Yep. So they did definitely need to go get more help for those two. So, and then not only that, but the running game needs to improve dramatically.
They need a running back.
Rex Burkhead and the old David Johnson are not going to cut it.
Nope.
So, all right, guys, our last quarterback here, and I purposely made him last for a reason. Trey Lance.
Who?
I think Trey Lance.
I'm kidding.
He's got the most questions about him, I think, right now. He only played in 2 games, but 57.7 completion percentage, 603 passing yards, 5 passing touchdowns to 2 interceptions, 168 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. My big thing is I get they drafted him 1 overall, but if the 49ers end up winning the Super Bowl, are they going to be able to get away from Jimmy Garoppolo?
I mean, should they? They can. I mean, they can do whatever they want, but should they is whether or not whether.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know if the fan base would allow them. The man just goes and wins you a Super Bowl and you burn the bridge and say to be done with it.
Yep.
I also don't think the Niners want Trey Lance sitting behind Jimmy Garoppolo for 2 years. especially wasting the rookie contract, especially for someone who's drafted 3rd overall. They're going to want to see what they have in him next year, I think, regardless of what Jimmy G does here in the playoffs.
Yeah. I also think, too, right now he probably has the best weapons, probably best offense out of all the rookies that we've gone through.
Without question.
Best wide receiver for sure in Debo.
Yeah.
Best tight end Kittle.
Got Eli Mitchell at running back.
Yeah. I mean, good offensive line.
Yep.
Good defense, too.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I think that probably if he does get the start next year, I think he's probably the best sophomore quarterback. I'm going to take him over Mac Jones. So
I don't hate it.
Yeah, there's too many weapons in San Francisco. So
he certainly showed the upside in the few games we got to see him play in this year.
Yep, having Kyle Shanahan as your coach is a big plus too.
That certainly helps. Yeah, no question.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's out of the head coaches for the rookies, other than Belichick being Belichick. I thought Kyle Shanahan was the greatest landing spot he could have picked, or obviously could have fallen to. He didn't get to pick him.
Yeah. All right, that wraps up our 2021 quarterback discussion. Did you guys want to talk about any other quarterbacks out there?
No,
I think that does it for QB.
I'll just throw out one thing here. Brady, he might be done. Who knows? Kyle Trask could be somebody to go after next year. So,
no.
Brady doesn't seem like the kind of guy to go out on a disappointment like
I don't think so either. But
I think he's going to give it a go next year.
Yeah.
I got a question. Jimmy G's. How many years are left on that contract they gave him?
Yeah, that was a 5-year contract too.
Yeah, he runs. He's a unrestricted free agent in 2023.
Okay.
So
he's got all of next season.
Yeah.
Like Charlie's saying, I absolutely agree. You don't draft a guy number 3 overall to have him ride the bench for 2-3 years. So is Jimmy G a trade target?
I definitely think so. I mean, he's not one that's going to be – he's too good to ride the bench.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's a lot of quarterback needy teams out there. So,
okay. Now that being said, here's an interesting theory. Say Tom Brady does retire.
Mm-hmm.
You think Tampa Bay takes a swing at Jimmy G?
Ooh.
It's possible.
I'm just saying. Okay, so say you lose Tom Brady, Gronk follows him off into the sunset. You're down Gronk, you're down Brady, but you still have all of that talent on both sides.
You're down Godwin though too.
Yeah.
I ain't coming back.
Yeah. You're down Godwin, down Brown. All you have is Fournette. You're down Fournette, possibly.
You might just have Mike Evans.
Yeah, Evans might be the only.
Yeah,
that could be the beginning of the end for Tampa.
Yeah.
Really could.
Oh yeah. So, with that note, I'm glad Tom Brady's out of the playoffs. We are done here. Good show. So, we will definitely in the upcoming weeks take a look at running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends.
We'll be looking at the Bengals next week for our team dissection as well, so look forward to that.
Yep.
Stoked for that one.
Till next time, guys, have a good week.
Yep.
Take care, y'all.
Good night.